So just wanted to say hello and welcome to today's open event, where we'll be providing you with an insight and an overview of our exciting Health Professions Education MSc programme. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kate Thomas. I'm the Events Officer for the Faculty of Medical Sciences here at UCL and your chair this afternoon. We're hoping this session will address those course-specific questions you may have and will help you to gain an insight into what it is really like to study health professions education here at UCL. So this afternoon, our speaker, Catherine, will provide a summary of our exciting postgraduate programme, followed by a Q&A session with our speakers, both Catherine, who you should hopefully see on the screen. So there'll be plenty of interactive opportunities for you all to join in throughout today's session. This session is being recorded and will be made available following today's event. We're here to respond to your questions, so please share those throughout using the Q&A function on Zoom. Now to introduce our speakers, we have Catherine O'Keefe. Catherine is a Professor of Medical Education at UCL, where she leads the MSc in Health Professions Education and undertakes research in this field. She has a background in nursing with extensive experience of leading medical and health professions education, including previous leadership roles at HEE, as an Associate Director of Education for a large NHS trust, and early in her career as a Director of International Education for a charity specialising in HIV/AIDS care. Catherine has a particular interest in the application of educational theory to leadership development within healthcare settings. And Lisa Andrews. Lisa looks after the operations side of the programme, so if you're interested in the course, you will most likely hear from Lisa. She'll be joining us for the Q&A part of the event as well. Thank you so much both. So before I hand over to our speakers, we would just like to run a few polls. So I'll just launch those for you now. So hopefully you should see those on your screen. And it would be fantastic if you could just answer the question. So the first question is asking, where are you currently based? So we've got a couple of options there, overseas in the UK. If you can just tell us a bit about what your health profession is at the moment, that would be fantastic. So if you could let us know if you are a doctor, a nurse, a surgeon, or any others that are listed. And then the third question, where are you in your clinical career at the moment? So if you can just let us know, we've got a few options available. So anything in your foundation, if you're a consultant or any other, please do just select an option that is most appropriate for you. And if you can just tell us a bit about what your educational role is at the moment, that would be fantastic. And we can obviously tailor any parts of the talk knowing that as well. So that's really helpful for us. And finally, last question is, what educational role would you like to have? So we are really interested in knowing what you would like to get out of having a Master's in Health Professions Education, and really we'd love to know what careers you're aspiring to. So that would be really helpful for us to know as well. So I can see that we've got some answers coming in, which is great. Thank you very much for that. Just give you about a couple more, maybe a minute to answer, as I know we've still got a few of you maybe deciding. So that's absolutely fine. Okay. Well, I think what we will do is share that poll now. So if you haven't had time to submit all your answers, don't worry. You can obviously still use the chat, or if you'd like to write us a question in, please use the Q&A function as well. Share those results. Hopefully you should see them on your screen now. And hopefully that will set the scene well to hand over to Catherine. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. I'm just having a quick look through the slide, the results here. So we've got mainly, at the moment, most people are from overseas. We've got just a couple here in the UK, mainly doctors, a surgeon and 2 others. Most of you are in the early stage of your career. Very interested in medical education, but also clinically based and also policy based. Yeah, that's super. So really nice group of people here who are interested in health professions education. Many of you are doctors and have a particular interest from that perspective. As Kate said, I'm a professor of medical education here at UCL, and I lead the Masters in Health Professions Education. This programme has been designed for doctors, nurses, allied health professionals and any health professional who is interested in and would like to develop their career in health professions education. Be that a career that's focusing on health professions education and medical education in the clinical setting, or in policy organisations, research, leadership or other settings. One of the key things about this programme is that its design is very flexible. It's a modular programme where you can pick and choose which modules you want to take that fit in with your clinical and other commitments. And depending on the options that you choose, if you register for the full master's programme, you have up to 5 years to complete that, that programme. The programme is currently offered online with lots of synchronous sessions, and it's very, in other words, it's very interactive, being an online programme. We do have opportunities to engage with each other offline through posting and opportunities to chat online, but we think that the core element of our programme, which makes it particularly attractive online, is that it is synchronous. Today, for example, I had a lovely group and we were looking at how to undertake literature reviews in medical and health professions education. There was about 10 of us and we had lots of discussion, presentations, and it was a very lively session. So if you're thinking about the programme, you do have the option of joining and aiming for the full master's programme, which is 180 credits that must be completed over 5 years. You can, however, register initially for a short course for 1 or 2 modules just to see if you like it. And then if you pass those modules, you can then transfer onto the full masters. Or you can think about just registering initially for a PG cert at 60 credits, which needs to be completed within 2 years. Or maybe even you might want to think, well, I'll try for a diploma, 120 credits in 5 years. So there's a lot of flexibility. You can dip your toe in the water or start small, or you can think, right, now I'm going to complete the whole programme. I think one of the key things that we think is a really attractive aspect of this programme is that there are different options for how you might specialise. You can register for the generic Health Professions Education MSc, so there are no core modules on this other than the final research module and the prerequisite module for that. And then you can basically pick and choose the modules that you want to study from a whole range of modules, from teaching and learning, health professions, education, leadership, assessment, contemporary issues in health professions, education. There's a huge variety that you can choose from. Or you can think, actually, I know I've got a general interest in a particular area and I would like to really develop my expertise in that area. A particularly popular option is the Masters in Health Professions Education Leadership, where you have when you qualify and get your qualification, it has leadership at the end of the qualification. And there we have a series of modules that you need to take to be able to get the MSc in leadership, health professions education leadership, and that you can find details of those on the website, but they include leadership skills for health professionals, how you manage yourself as well as how you manage others, quality improvement and strategic leadership. If you choose a particular pathway, such as the leadership pathway, your dissertation or report for the final module will need to focus on leadership, so you really develop expertise there. Other options include a pathway in research. If you're particularly interested in becoming a researcher in health professions education, there are additional modules that you can make sure that you take to develop your research expertise in more depth. There's also a primary care option for those of you that are interested in health professions education in primary care settings, or specific modules we encourage you would need to take there. And shortly we will be having a specialist pathway on assessment, so that your masters can focus particularly on assessment. So it's a really flexible program and gives you lots of different options about how you focus and choose your area of study. The other thing I would say that's really useful is that the students on this program come from a diverse range of backgrounds, from health professionals who are in the early stages of their career as clinicians and educators, to more experienced people. It's also a multi-professional program. We have a lot of doctors, but we also have nurses, physiotherapists, audiologists, healthcare scientists, dentists, and so forth. So that means that the discussions that we have and the engagement that we have reflects that multidisciplinary workplace and makes it a really dynamic and engaging environment. Finally, as our students are multidisciplinary and engaging, we have some excellent academics who work on the programme, both from the core team of tutors and associate professors. We include associate professors with backgrounds in psychology, with backgrounds in palliative care and oncology, and also in general practice, and expertise from the wider medical school team, including the team who lead the undergraduate programme, who lead the international consultancy, and the specialist team, our award-winning team, who have recently won an ASME award for research, who are specialist researchers. In addition, of course, there's a wider body of academics from UCL, including UCL's Institute of Education, who contribute to the programme. So it's a dynamic learning environment and highly engaging, and we'll be delighted if you would be interested in joining us. So I've spoken quite a bit there, but I'd now like to hand over to my colleague Lisa, who might mention one or two things I may have missed, but also mention a bit about the application process if you're interested in applying. Lisa.
Thanks, Catherine. Hi, everybody. So it's just to let you know that we have 2 intakes for the full Masters programme, one in January and one in September. So applications are currently open now for our January intake. So that would be for you to start in January 2023. And they are open until the 17th of November. I'm going to pop a link just in the chat for you, just for ease of reference of how to access that application system for you, in case you can't get that on the main prospectus page. And then we also have the intake for September 23-24, and that is also open now, and that is open until the 30th of June. So we would encourage you to get your applications in as soon as possible, as it's a rolling basis, so we review applications when they come in and offer places where we can. I think Catherine covered most of the information that we need. As we say, with Flexible Modular, you do need to sign up for the full MSc. However, if you just wanted to complete a PG certificate, then you are welcome to just exit with an interim award. So when you've achieved your 60 credits, you can then decide to exit from the programme, and then that's the same with the diploma. If you've achieved your 120 credits, you can exit with an interim award, but you would sign up for the full MSc. As Catherine mentioned about the short course programme, this is a programme where we offer taster modules. So you're actually taking the master modules, and you can take them to achieve credits. You can take up to 30 credits on the short course programme, and we have various points of the year. I think there's 4 different points that you can actually join on that programme to have a go at the modules, and if you are enjoying the modules and you like the programme, then we're able to transfer you onto the full programme, and that is actually outside the admissions and application portal, and that's held departmentally. And you can find actually all the information about that on our website as well, and I'll post the link to that shortly for you. Yeah, and I think that that's all from me. All the information about our fees, as we said, it's a flexible modular programme. You can take it full-time in 1 year, but you can take it over 5 years, and it's just to let you know that the full fees aren't expected in that year, that you would pay the fees in instalments, and you charged for the actual modules that you take. So for instance, if you were applying for the January cohort and you wanted to take a 15 credit module, then that would only be £900, and you would pay for that, and they usually take the instalments over 3 times in the year. So that's just to let you know that you're not expected to pay the full fee if you decide to go for a flexible module mode. Yes, I think that's all for me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa and Catherine. So we're really hoping that would give you a good overview of our programme. But so now we're going to move over to the Q&A section. So we've got a few questions that have come in already, so we will start with those, but please do keep submitting your questions. Catherine and Lisa are here to answer as many of those as possible, so please do use the Q&A function to submit those, or if you're feeling brave, you can raise your hand as well and join us on the screen. So let's start with our questions. So this question is from Mohammed about, so the question is, for people who work 8 to 5 weekdays, would the time of the online course be suitable?
That's a very good question. The synchronous sessions are normally during the day, UK time. For example, this morning the session started at 9:30, finished at 12, sometimes they're whole day sessions. So you would need to be able to take study leave in order to attend, but the dates for these sessions are set well in advance. In fact, Lisa, how far in advance do we release the actual dates for the...
So it would usually be in the February before commence. It'd be so for September 23 start, we'll release the module timetable in February 23. So there is quite a time to book leave if you need.
Yeah, and for the January intake?
Well, the January intake is already up, so the module timetable would be the same for the January intake. So that's up now. So yeah, that would go in the same time. So if you were to take the January, you'd actually have nearly a year in advance to see the timetable.
So that means that people have plenty of time to plan so that you can attend those sessions, and most people do. If by chance you can't, for example, you're very busy in the workplace and you're asked to come in to cover, then the synchronous sessions are recorded so you can watch them afterwards. But obviously it's better if you can actually join them live. And they are based on UK time as well. So depending on where you are in the world, you just need to check that works. We do actually we've got a participant in Chile and we've got some participants in Australia at the moment, and they seem to be doing okay engaging, so it can work.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for the question, and Catherine and Lisa for your answers. Hopefully we've answered that question, but equally, if you have any further questions about that one, just let us know. Great. Oh, I think we've got another question actually. That's just come in from Mohammed again. Thank you. So what is the shortest period to finish the P certificate diploma for the January intake, that is?
January intake, the diploma, that's 60 credits. I think that's a good question. It would depend on how much time you have available, but we wouldn't allow you to take 60 credits all at once, because it's the nature of this academic work is incredibly challenging. It's a very different way of thinking and a different way of writing. So we would advise you to take, say, a 15 credit module per term. So over 4 terms, potentially you could take two 15 credit modules or one 30 credit module in a term. So that would mean it would be slightly less. But I would actually try and aim, if I were you, to give yourself plenty of time. It's a very demanding program. People are working often full-time and other commitments. They underestimate how much work is involved. For example, a 15 credit module, including attending sessions and doing the reading and the assignment, takes about 150 hours of work. So it's a significant commitment that you need to be able to plan for.
Thank you, Catherine. And we have a question that we received prior to the event as well. So how would the degree help me in finding teaching fellow or be more involved in simulation?
Okay, well, I think it would be, if you are looking for those sorts of roles, having a Master's in Health Professions Education would really put you at the top of the pile in terms of recruiting, because it would demonstrate that you understand and are able to apply appropriate education theory research and research to your practice in either teaching fellow or simulation role. We do have a specific module on clinical simulation. So I think it would be incredibly helpful. A lot of people now make sure they have a master's in this field. So without it, the others who have a master's in health professions education, medical education, would probably be shortlisted above you, I would think. So it's a great selling point if you have one.
Fantastic. Thank you, Catherine. And our next question, so this is from someone who is a respiratory therapist at bachelor level. How further can a master's degree take them?
I think it's where do you want to go? It's education, and particularly health professions education, is a fascinating field. Across the world, there are huge challenges in how we recruit, train and retain our health professionals. People who have expertise in this are very valuable, because we're really needed to begin to address some of these problems. So you can focus your career wherever you would like in the particular clinical setting, supervising undergraduates, postgraduates, mentoring, coaching, even more senior staff. You can move into academia, you can mix roles, you can move into policy. So there are lots of different opportunities and a huge need for people with this level of expertise. So really the world is your oyster in terms of education in this field with this type of qualification.
Fantastic, thank you. And so I think potentially this would just need some clarification. So there's a question in the Q&A function just checking that this program is it not a MD program?
No, it's not an MD. An MD program is a doctorate. This is a master's level program. Here at UCL Medical School, we do offer PhDs in medical and health professions education, and the process for applying there is to submit your proposal to us and then it will be reviewed by potential supervisors to see if they think it's a worthwhile proposal, and dependent upon their capacity. There are other options at UCL that you might be interested in, such as the professional doctorate in health profession, where you can focus on health professions education or medical education, which is run by the Institute of Education, and those of us who are working here at the medical school are involved in supervising students on those programs as well.
Fantastic, thank you, Catherine. I'm just having a look through some of the questions, but please do keep submitting your questions. Like I said earlier, Catherine and Lisa are here to answer as many questions as possible, so that would be fantastic. So I think the next question is focusing a little bit on careers for international students following completion of the program, and do you have any examples of perhaps alumni or what current students to be going into following completion?
Yes, we have several examples. An ex-student of mine who did an excellent dissertation on education, multi-professional education in intensive care, in respiratory care rather. He is comes from Taiwan, and he has now moved into academia in the medical school there to progress his career there as a result of having the master's degree. We had a very successful physiotherapy student from Singapore who is now working in developing education for physiotherapists and others in Singapore. And also we've done, as a medical school, we've supported a lot of work in China, and we have had a relatively recent graduate who went on to support medical education in, I can't remember the name of the province actually in China where they're working, but they're doing a huge amount there. So it certainly does open a lot of opportunities internationally, depending on your context. Again, because these skills are needed. People across the world are required to really understand how to support and develop health professionals in all sorts of different contexts. So they're very valuable skills to have indeed.
Thank you, Catherine. Hopefully that answers the question. Our next one is looking at prospective students. So whether a prospective student of MSc in Health Professions Education with mixed mode distance can apply for a student visa to study online in London. I'm not sure, Lisa, do you know the answer to that one? Or?
Yeah, because it's an online course. Unfortunately, we can't actually sponsor Tier 4 visas because it's online. It has to be face-to-face to meet the requirements of a Tier 4 visa. There's so many hours face-to-face that's required. So you wouldn't actually be able to come to London on that type of visa to study the course.
Thank you, Lisa. Hopefully that answers that question. So the next one is looking at, so if I do not have sufficient research or work experience after my MSc, how do I open up my career? And this particular person is interested in healthcare analyst roles, system consultants, and strategy coordinator jobs. And they just say thank you very much in advance.
Okay. That's a good question as well. Well, I think with this sort of degree, throughout the degree, the masters, we actually design the modules so that you can look at apply what you're doing to your current work and your current area of practice. So if you're involved in any of these fields, even if what feels like at the moment a junior way, you can start to look and think and develop your expertise, show how you might improve things in that area and develop a much greater understanding. So that means when you're applying for jobs, you can say, yes, at the moment, my practical experience is a little limited, but I have some, but also I've got a lot of insight now into how things work and how I could do things, how I can influence things, because you'll be very well informed, you'll have critical thinking skills, critical writing skills, and you'll know how to apply knowledge and evidence to practice. Therefore, you're going to be a very valuable resource for an employer. So it's about selling the expertise that you've developed, the skills that you've developed to a future employer. And some of the methods that we use on the programme will help you do that. For example, you'll have to write essays where you really articulate clearly what you're thinking. You'll have to do individual and group presentations, so you'll develop all those sorts of skills. And you'll do a dissertational report which shows your ability to really think and work at a very high level. So you'll have a lot to offer a potential employer, even though you feel that you don't have all the expertise that they might be looking for. You'll still have a huge amount to help you.
Thank you, Catherine. We've just had another question that's come in. So whether the mixed mode distance includes in-person learning?
At the moment, we're just offering the programme online, and we switched completely online within COVID, when COVID happened, but we are looking to offer a mixed mode option going forward. We don't have any concrete plans for that yet, but that would offer some face-to-face opportunities.
So basically, watch this space.
Yes.
Exciting times ahead.
But just sorry, can I just add to that? It's actually really interactive. So like the synchronous sessions are really interactive. So some people think of online that it's just you on your own, and but it isn't. Yeah. And there's lots of opportunities to interact with tutors and fellow students as well. So it might not be in person, but I think that our students enjoy the flexibility, but they also feel that they have enough contact with you know, staff and fellow students.
Thanks, Lisa. And yeah, I second that. There's a lot of benefit to obviously doing a lot online as well, because it's particularly for international students, it's definitely a strong benefit. Okay, so the next question is, so what's the biggest challenge in doing an MSc with a child under 1, and what mechanisms are in place to support? Thank you for the good question.
It's a very good question, and well done for being interested and thinking about furthering your career through this with a young child. I suppose as with all of you, whether it's a young child or a very busy clinical job and other commitments outside, it's about planning your time and making sure you can put aside enough time to study. So that will mean however you do that with family, with other support that can help you to make sure that you actually have a bit of time for yourself, so that you can really focus on your studies. So I think the key thing is to be realistic about what you can do. It's a flexible program. You've got 5 years to do it. So doing one module at a time, maybe not every term, maybe every other term, and just taking things slowly so that you feel that you're making some progress. And then as gradually your commitments, you have a little bit more flexibility in your personal commitments, you can then engage a little bit further. But I don't know, Lisa, would you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think another way we think about it is, you know, 15 credit modules about 1 day a week. So trying to put aside 1 day a week for that, it's a bit easier to and maybe set aside that time for 1 day instead of trying to do bits and pieces here and there. And you know, UCL are really supportive, and you know, you could sign up for a module, and if something unexpected happens, then we have the EC facility, so you know, you can always apply for help and support in that sense should things, you know, unexpected happen. But as Catherine said, it's probably best about planning your time, but you can sign up, and that's the great thing about modular flexion. You know, you have 5 years, and you can, you know, take one module 1 year, and then you could have 2 years where you just don't take any modules. As long as you re-register on the program, you come back and finish it all, you know, perhaps when the child actually starts preschool, or you know, something like that might give you more flexibility.
Thanks, Lisa. And I think that's the great thing about this course, that you know, I think that it's designed around very busy people, and the flexibility is kind of key. So great. We do actually have quite a few more questions, so I'll just I'll work through those. So the next one is looking at someone that's really keen to apply, and they're interested in kind of the funding options available, and asking if there are any scholarships.
Okay, I'll hand that over to Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Not specifically for our programme, however, we would really strongly advise you to look on the UCL pages, because there's lots of information about, you know, help with funding. We do have a limited number of bursaries for full-time international students, and they come on a first come first served basis, but that's for international students, and they have to be applying for full-time. But yeah, as we said, UCL do have a page. I'll find that and post it in the chat for you, that will give an information, but the medical school per se don't actually offer any scholarships themselves.
Thank you, Lisa. And hopefully we'll be able to pop a link to that in the chat. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Fab. And so the next one we've got is looking at, maybe looking at the differences between, I guess maybe this person is looking to plan a research career, and they want to know if potentially the MSc versus MRes. What are the differences if they are planning a career in research?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the MRes is very much focused on developing your skills as a researcher and the particular topic that you want to research. And most people who do an MRes then go on to upgrade to a PhD. So it would depend upon what you've done previously and whether you're at the stage where you actually really want to think about doing your PhD. This master's is really designed for people a little bit earlier in their career, who want to develop knowledge and in-depth knowledge and expertise about this subject area, and then might decide that they want to go on and do an MRes and a PhD. So this is a stage before. So it really depends, as I say, on what you've done before. If you feel that you have a really good grasp of medical and health professions education, that you understand the theory, the evidence, the practice, and you've got a topic that you're passionately interested in and want to do a PhD, then an MRes may be for you. If you feel that actually there's a huge amount you still want to learn and you're not sure just how you'd like to focus your future research career, the Masters in Health Professions Education would probably be a lot more helpful for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Catherine. And so I've had a look at the other questions, but I think we've probably tackled the majority of them, which is great. So unless there were anything, I'm just having another quick scan through. So the only thing I think, well, equally, if anyone has any questions that, any burning questions that they want to answer, want answered, please do submit those. But I do like to just pose a kind of final question to hopefully Catherine and Lisa will be able to address. But what would be your top tips for those applying for the course, either in the January intake or in the September intake? What are your ideal candidates, and what would their applications look like?
That's a very good question, Kate. Thank you. I mean, firstly, just check the entry criteria, because the programme is open just to registered health professionals who have completed their undergraduate degree and are registered as a health professional. But the key thing I would say for the application is when you're writing your personal statement is to make sure that you tell us about yourself and why you're particularly interested in health professions education and how you think it's going to help you in your practice as an educator, as a clinician, and your career aspirations. Sometimes we get applications where students are very general, they they talk to us in general about aspirations, but the ones that we think, oh yes, this is the right person to have on the programme, who's someone who will tell us, well, at this moment in time, I've been qualified for so many years and I'm really interested in undergrad, postgraduate or research, and this is why. This is how I think this programme is going to help me develop. So really get that very clear. It doesn't need to be, you know, incredibly long, but it needs to be clear why you're applying for this programme and how you think it's going to help you. And that way we can be confident in offering you a place that it's the right programme for you. Lisa, anything you want to add on that?
Oh, I think that's a great, Catherine. It's just, yeah, make sure that you're clear in your statement and that you really outline why you want to do the programme and what interests you, and just also make sure, because we require 2 references as well. We can't review the applications unless they're complete in full and the references are included. So maybe sometimes think wisely about your referees in case they are often too busy to complete them, or, you know, just to remind them to keep on top. That's probably a good tip that we find with applications.
And maybe one thing linked to that is to make sure that your referees are professional referees and they use a professional email address, not a personal email address.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lisa and Catherine, for answering my final question. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone for joining us today. We'll need to leave it there, but we're so pleased you're able to, and we do have a very quick feedback form that if you have time, it should pop up following the event. So please do provide us with your feedback about the event. And I just want to say another thank you for all your comments and questions, and thank you to our speakers for an excellent session. And we hope that you all have a fantastic evening.
Lovely. Thank you, Kate. And lovely to meet you all.
Thanks.
Take care,
Great.
everyone.
Bye now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.